problem seems linked to what authorities are calling a catastrophic power surge that has tripled traffic in the area.
Before we get to 10 Cloverfield Lane, I need to give some background information on its production company Bad Robot, and the company's founder, J.J. Abrams. Abrams is one of the most powerful and influential creators in Hollywood, alongside Pixar's John Lasseter and Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige. He has had many successes throughout his career, ranging from multiple hit television shows to epic blockbusters, as well as a small independent film called The Force Awakens. Despite all of these successes, the most defining moment of his entire career was this TED Talk he did back in 2007 on the Mystery Box. Now, the Mystery Box is a toy that JJ bought as a kid that promised $50 worth of magic for the price of $15. The notable thing about this possession is that for all the years he has owned this toy, JJ has never opened it, and this is because
it represents infinite possibility. It represents hope. It represents potential.
After this TED Talk, it was not hard to see the Mystery Box's influences on all of the Bad Robot projects, with all of their storytelling being built around their sense of promise and anticipation. It's like taking the idea that Jaws is scarier when we don't see the shark and injecting that with steroids. This mindset didn't just apply to the films themselves, it also greatly affected their marketing campaigns. All of the marketing for these films use a less is more approach, having all of us wondering,
what's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
However, there was a giant problem with this entire approach, which is that the Mystery Box is a giant gimmick. And I'm not saying that gimmicks are inherently bad, just that when overexposed, gimmicks can lead to disastrous results. Case in point, look at M. Night Shyamalan's entire career, which was built around the gimmick of twist endings. Now, these endings started out great, but once we as audience members got accustomed to them, the reveals became more and more hilarious, until the biggest twist was the films themselves. Similar to the Shyamalan twist, the reception to any Bad Robot film is 100% dependent on the punchline to the film's mystery box. For example, Super 8, which is a charming and enjoyable movie, has become utterly dismissed due to the lackluster design to the alien that the marketing campaign sold us on. And if you want to see the biggest downfall of the mystery box, look no further than Lost, which ended up answering all of its mysteries and ideas with purgatory. Lost was often labeled as a modern-day Twilight Zone, but this comparison ended up being the show's biggest detriment.
Lost is and was and said, Lost is like a Twilight Zone episode. And as, for instance, the famous Twilight Zone where the chick is getting surgery and a bunch of hideous creatures are working on her and they go, oh my god, she's hideous, and it turns out she's gorgeous. Ultimately, if it doesn't end on she's gorgeous and my mind is blown, it's not a good episode. I feel that they used all their powers to get away with Lost, not to create Lost.
The idea behind the mystery box has always been fascinating, but it has never been a functional form of storytelling. Well, at least that was the case until 10 Cloverfield Lane. 10 Cloverfield Lane's life in the public eye began with its marketing campaign, and like many other Bad Robot productions, the campaign was incredibly ambiguous. The film was shot under the codename Valencia, and details on the film during its production were scarce at best. This was of course the setup for the big reveal, when the teaser trailer was dropped along with the title less than 2 months before the film's release. While all this is fascinating, the anticipation built around this campaign is not what makes the film great. Just recently, Blair Witch did the exact same trick, but ended up being just a bigger and louder version of the original. What makes 10 Cloverfield Lane so great are the differences it has with its predecessor, and a lot of that is due to the film's director, Dan Trachtenberg. From the first look, it was pretty apparent that the film stylistically had little in common with its predecessor. In fact, the thing it shares the most with is Trachtenberg's own viral short film, Portal No Escape. The only concrete piece of information we had going into the film was the title. With mystery box filmmaking, since the marketing is so vague, every piece of information given before a film's release is vital to the experience of watching it. So with that in mind, the mystery box question that this film promises to answer is why the film is titled Cloverfield. So why is it? Well, let's start by taking a look at the film itself. 10 Cloverfield Lane tells the story of Michelle, who after a car accident wakes up in an underground shelter. While she suspects she was captured for malicious intent, the abductor Howard claims that he saved her life due to a supposed supernatural event happening outside. And so, the film revolves around one key question. Is Howard crazy, or is there something supernatural happening outside? Only, we already know the answer to this question. It's in the title. Because of the title, we as audience members can expect something supernatural. If the film didn't deliver on this aspect, it would be breaking a promise it made with the audience. So why would the filmmakers intentionally spoil their own movie? Well, there's two reasons. For one, the filmmakers believed that if the storytelling was up to par, the audience wouldn't really care if they knew the outcome. And second, the focus of the film isn't the supernatural element. Because we already know the answer to the first part of the question, the film can redirect its focus towards its characters. One problem I have with mystery box filmmaking is that everything from the story to the characters is in the service of the mystery box. For example, every character decision in Cloverfield is just a plot device to experience more spectacle. These aren't characters, they're blank surrogates that we're supposed to project onto. 10 Cloverfield Lane takes the exact opposite approach, wherein the science fiction element in spectacle is in service of the characters. Here, the science fiction is less of a genre and more of a setting. It's a genre film within a genre film. So if this film is not a science fiction film, then what is it? While this film has many genre influences, ranging from Signs to Die Hard, the real influence on this film is the works of Alfred Hitchcock, namely Rear Window, Notorious, and Psycho. While the film does pay homage to these films by recreating their set pieces, it also masterfully recreates the feeling of watching a Hitchcock film, from the performances, the pacing, and even the Bernard Herrmann-inspired score. It also isn't just a thriller with some aliens slapped onto it. All the sci-fi elements are deeply tied to the conflict at hand, and only enhance the experience. I think this is because of the back seat that the sci-fi element takes and the restraint given to it. This is evident in the little things in the film, like how we introduce the science fiction element. The first mention of anything supernatural doesn't happen until we're well into our main conflict, and it happens with this line.
Russians are developing some nasty stuff, and if the Martians finally figured out a way to get here,
Obviously, this isn't meant to be taken seriously, it's just an extension of Howard's paranoia. Even when we confirm what is going outside is supernatural, we do so through its effect on the people outside.
God, open the door, you bitch! Let me in!
This restraint and balance can also be seen in the film's action-packed finale, which sacrifices epic visual effect shots in order to maintain the claustrophobic camera the film has held until this point. Where this balance shows off the most is how it answers its key question: is Howard crazy, or are there aliens outside? The big reveal here isn't that there are aliens outside, it's that aliens being outside does not make Howard any less crazy. While we've assembled most of the pieces of this puzzle, there's one piece we haven't yet solved. Why is the film titled Cloverfield? The cynical answer is that Bad Robot took a perfectly functional indie script and slapped the Cloverfield label and an action sequence on it to make more money. But that's not an interesting answer. The interesting answer is that the film used the name to create a cinematic universe. Now I know there's a lot of negative feelings towards cinematic universes, and there should be. 2016 has had its fair share of pandering brain-dead sequels that exist merely to leech off of the successes of their originals. The difference is that 10 Cloverfield Lane sets out to build off its predecessor, and uses its name to create a modern-day Twilight Zone, a franchise built around telling engaging and challenging stories using the framework of science fiction. And while other cinematic universes seem to pride themselves in their predictable content and guaranteed sequels, here we have the opposite, a cinematic universe with no idea on where it can go, and unlimited potential on what it may become. And isn't that what the mystery box was all about? I am incredibly excited for what this franchise has to offer, but for now,
The mystery box, in honor of my grandfather, stays closed.
What's in the box?
It's my dick in a box.